Well guys, we were not able to get our roads repaired, and there's no way we can get the side-by-side into the woods. We have no access point into the woods. So we might not have a maple syrup season this year. Or will we? Hey guys, I'm WTFarm Girl. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to show you how we are setting up our brand new maple syrup vacuum tubing system. Pardon my face, it is slightly frozen. I've been outside for a while and it's getting colder. So let me start off by showing you how we basically started our backbone of the system and why it's called backbone. Ready? So this is exciting for you guys, and Eric's kind of excited too. He looks so excited, doesn't he? We are going to install a vacuum system in our woods to suck the syrup, the sap, out of the trees and into a storage tank. If you followed me last year, you know that we had to do buckets. You saw all the maple syrup videos, collecting the buckets, using this to transport it out of the woods. But this was the end result. This was the price we paid. And it never dried up the entire year where we could go through and fix it. Actually, you'll probably see a part where we did go through and try and fix it and it didn't hold. So, we are going to take the first preliminary step today and show you how to set up the system. This is how we're setting it up. Now, there are lots of different ways to set this up, isn't that right? Eric?
Yep.
The problem we ran into is that...
We're going to set it up like a cow fence.
Yeah, the problem we ran into is that because there are so many different ways to set it up, it makes it nearly impossible to find out the best solution for us. So if you are thinking about doing this system yourself, follow along with this video series and maybe it'll give you some ideas for your own woods. And for those of you who don't tap maple syrup trees, you can follow along and watch the difference in videos from this year to last year. Let's go. So step one is figuring out what kind of system you're going to run. And we have decided to run a solar system. Running off solar. But for right now, just understand that this is where the system's going to set. So we have all of our controls are going to be right here and all of the pump stuff is going to be right here. So this is our ending point, if you will. So Eric's rigging up the spinning Jenny.
I like spinning Jennies.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we're going to take the end of that wire and start stringing it through. And this is going to be a guide wire that's going to have our main line attached to it. So this is kind of like the backbone of the entire system. So you really want to make sure you have it planned out fairly well. And we don't know, we're just hoping that we do. So the first step with this system is that you want to keep your line close to major trees. Not necessarily trees that you're tapping, but kind of in the general vicinity. Just like a backbone. You're going to have your ribs coming off the backbone. But in this case, it's going to be your maple syrup lines tapping into this backbone wire. So right now, Eric's pulling the wire along. See, here's a big tree that he's going to attach it to. There's more trees down there he'll attach it to. So it's actually a really nice day today. It's cold. It is pretty cold, but it is nice. Whoa. You need to flip that thing right over. So here is the system so far. We stopped it right here because it starts to dip downward right there, and Eric didn't want to have to mess with the dip. So I think what we have is that for every rib, if you will. Every rib of line can hold 25 taps. So we can do 25 in this area out here, and then we can do 25 in this area right here, and these will all come right across here to the line. Alright. So then we can do another 25 down here, coming across, and then 25 down there. So at this point we have to go through and make sure that we can have a decline from the top all the way down to the bottom. So I think we're going to start at the bottom and go up from there, because we can go as high as we need, but we can't go as low as we need. The absolute lowest point we can go is the collection tank. So we start there and gradually increase our gradient going upward.
I want to go a couple different directions so it doesn't slip, so it's not like a slip knot. You know what I mean? I want to come over
and into the through the loop, up and over through the loop, so it doesn't become a slip knot, right? So we've got our string of wire, which the end is over here somewhere. So we're gonna put a tensioner on the end here and then attach it to our line right there. And this is a ratcheting tensioner. There are many different tools you can use to put these on, like some are specific for maple syrup. This is just what we're using because this is what we're familiar with. You can get these at Tractor Supply, Family Farm, Southern States, all of those carry this sort of stuff. Carry all of the supplies, the wire, the tool, and the ratchet strap. Ratcheting tensioner. And then of course your maple syrup tubing. This is some old stuff we had, a little bit coarser than the new stuff, but better than throwing it away. No sense using good supplies on a tree unless that's all you have. I literally cannot smile right now because my face is kind of frozen. So if I sound weird, that's why. My son is over there playing on the ice. What you doing, Bob? So the other thing is you want to make sure that you hook it. Okay, so that's how we bent it, just like an L. And then he's going to hook it. There's actually a hole in the center of this. If it wants to focus. And then you just got to kind of hold it in there and it will bend around it. So I know you're asking yourself, man, this looks like a huge pain in the butt just to run some maple syrup tubing. But realistically, you only do this once and that is it. Unless something in your line system breaks, you put it up and you leave it up year round. We're gonna have to put a couple modifications in because we do want to use our woods, and this is gonna go across some of our trails. So we'll show you that in a little bit. So this is gonna be your highest point. This is the starting point and it has to be the highest. So if this is tensioned correctly, this whole line should be completely straight and not dipping down like it is. Yeah, so this line isn't going to be just free floating. It's going to actually attach to different tree points besides the end anchors. So it's going to anchor here, and then it's going to anchor on that tree right there, which is actually a maple syrup tree. So I'm not thrilled about that.
So these little levels, this is what we're going to be looking for. Snap these little guys on here. You want that bubble to be on the right side of the line. That means you're flowing downhill.
Yeah, you don't want the bubble center this time.
So as long as this bubble is to the right side of that line, we'll be good. You can actually just slide this right in.
I thought that's what you were gonna do. But you probably want to start at the end.
Yeah, and then we have to work our way up.
Yeah. Yep. So here's what we have going on so far. I went through and I double checked the fall, or I guess you could say the rise of our line. I don't even know if you can see it on camera. Maybe you can. Now, if you look at it to the naked eye, it looks like there's pretty much no drop to it. But there is. The least amount of drop is from this tree down to that tree to that tree. And I think it's still gonna need another support line in the middle of this area and a couple areas down here. You don't want too far of a span or your line begins to sag, especially if you have sap in it. So right here is a massive expanse. So we're gonna have to put some cross braces or something there. When you run a main line like this, it has to have a slight amount of drop. That just kind of helps shoot the sap down towards the tank, which will sit right about where the side-by-side is. Oh my gosh, it's a deer. A couple of deer. I don't know if you can see them. You might have to zoom in on your TV. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like 6. They're all little ones. Alright, so here are my lions. And it's pink just because it's bright. So basically what we have to do now is we have our main line, our backbone, which is the wire. From there we're going to attach all of our laterals, or you can call them ribs if you prefer that. I think it's just easier looking at this like a backbone. Even though it's probably more like an artery and then veins and I don't know. Anyhow, so we have our connection points. You can connect anywhere along this line. I just happen to tie it right here because it's not going to slide down the line. So everywhere it wraps around is a tree that's going to get a tap. So this is basically kind of figuring out where we're going to run our lines. So each group has to have 15 to 25, 15 to 20-ish, and they have to shoot out from right here. Not down there, right here. And you gotta use as little line as possible and run it to right here. Now this spot, I can run like taps going choo 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 choo. Alright, well, enough talking, let's get busy. I'm running out of daylight. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines coming in. Yep, 4 lines coming in so far. You can go under. They are bright, and hopefully the deer can still fit underneath them. Hopefully the deer don't take my lines out, because they have been running through back here. I saw another group go through a little bit later. And then the back on this other line over here, on this line, there were so many maples in the far back that it was going to end up being like 30 maples on one tap line, and that was way too much. Typically the maples, yeah, I can't talk, my face is frozen. Typically the maples in this area are heavy producers, so I don't want to overload my lines, especially since this is the first time doing it and I don't really know what to expect. So anyway, I guess I'm done for the day. Okay, so we went through and we installed that wire, and then we went through and I traced all of the steps for our laterals. And then we went through yesterday before it got too cold and we strung out our main line. Now this is 3/4 inch main line as recommended by Big Tom's Maple Supplies in Lake Odessa. And if you're familiar with the tubing system at all, you can already see there's an issue right here. There's a dip. Bloop. So there's gonna have to be some adjustment, and we figured that there would be. But pretty much the end of this is just resting up here. We might actually have to cut the legs on the table a little bit more so that it sits a little bit lower. But that's not a huge issue. We actually do have a smaller table we could put here too instead, which is probably a better way to go. So anyway, one of the things you do not at all want in your line is a dip, because this is where sap is going to collect and this is where it's going to freeze, and it's a lot harder for your vacuum to suck it out. Now we are going to be using a SureFlow 4048 pump. Again, put in your comments down below if you have experience with both the 4048 pump and the 4008 pump, in which you thought did a little bit better job. So Eric basically read that you want your zip ties about every 6 inches. Obviously this is more like 12, but we're gonna revamp this anyway right here. And again, I've never done this before, so I'm sorry if it looks a little wampusy, but we'll get it there. Alright, so I would suggest if you want to put nails in, choose a very good quality nail and don't put them in the wintertime because trees are really hard in the wintertime. And if you have someone who is naturally very poor at putting nails in, you probably shouldn't have them be your nailer person. So check out that line right there. Nothing interesting going on with that, right? And that half of it is just bouncing like crazy all the way down. Actually, when I left, it was bouncing. So it is still bouncing, which is really funny to me. I don't know if it's ever gonna stop. I'm not sure why it bounces up to that point right there. Look at that. It's just bouncing along. Anyway, until the next one, take care guys, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.